Hello, everyone. Hello. Welcome to Raw Talk. Let me just take a minute to make this public so that we are able to see everyone's post. So give me 1 second. Okay, it's public. Hello, everyone. What's going on? I'm just going to wait for a couple people to come on. Welcome to Raw Talk. Today we are going to be talking about Black women briefly. It's not going to be a long discussion. I do encourage you guys to comment on this. I can see the comments, so I'll be responding. If something comes to your head while I'm talking, please type it. I'm welcoming everyone to get on this conversation. This vlog is titled Say Her Name, inspired by Breonna Taylor, inspired by Sandra Bland, inspired by Tamir Rice, and so on, right? This is inspired by them, and this is in memory of them, and I'm here to talk. So I'm getting a couple of people on. Hello, everyone. I don't know who is on. StreamYard does not share with me who comes on, but thank you for joining. Once again, this vlog is titled Say Her Name. So we can get into it. I'm going to be talking a lot about Sojourner Truth today because one, I live in Ulster County, Kingston, New York, and she was actually born in Ulster County. And she was a really extreme advocate for Black women. And she was a part of the civil rights movement. And she allowed us to be who we are today. She paved the way. So I want to give back to her and talk about her today in remembrance of all the women I just named. So in the flyer I said, why is the energy different for Black women today? So we all know that George Floyd was murdered by the hands of police, and it was a catalyst to this movement. We don't, some people say we don't know why this movement is a little different. I personally say it's divine. I think this is our season, and I'm so happy to be alive to witness this. In the same breath, we witnessed Breonna Taylor's death. And just to go into it briefly, because I know everyone that's on my live is not familiar with Breonna Taylor's story, so I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis. So basically, undercover cops came into Breonna Taylor's home while she was sleeping with her boyfriend. Her boyfriend was armed. He claims that he did not hear a knock. Neighbors claim that they did not hear a knock. And they started shooting, like they did 21 rounds, and 8 of the bullets hit Breonna Taylor and killed her. Killed her in her sleep. It's crazy. Like when I say it, I get like chills all over my body because that could have been me. I could be laid up somewhere, with my boo or whatever, with my girlfriend, with someone, and it could just happen to anyone. Our Blackness is scary, I guess. I don't know. She was sleeping. I don't understand what the threat was. But long story short, she was killed. Her boyfriend was not. And there was recently a law passed in her name. However, the cops are still walking around. They're still doing what they do, and justice needs to be served. However, I have not been hearing the outcry, the calls to action like I heard for George Floyd. And let me be very clear, I'm not comparing them. I'm not saying that George Floyd did not deserve the outcry that he deserved, because I think everyone in their right mind agrees that justice needs to be served for George Floyd. But I think everyone in their right mind as well can agree that Breonna Taylor deserves justice as well. So my question to you guys is, why are Black women not receiving the same energy as we see with Black men? Yes, we know that Black men have been targeted, and they are targeted way more than Black women. That's, numbers show that, and I think we all know that as well. But I think Black women are not getting the same respect when they die at the hands of police as well. And just in general, I feel like the Black woman is not protected, and I think I need to say something. Malcolm X says that the the most unprotected person and disrespected person in America is the Black woman, and I think that still stands today. So let's just get into it. So we can talk about Sojourner Truth, right? So Sojourner Truth is known to have this quote, and it says, "I am who I am." And that reminds me of Tamir Rice. Tamir Rice, if you don't know who that person is, I encourage you to Google her. She was murdered by the police as well. It was a long case. It was a long, I cannot explain it over this live. You have to Google research the case of Tamir Rice, but she was viewed as being very militant and resistant and all of those things. And when I hear "I am who I am," as Sojourner Truth would say to police that would come up to her and dismiss her, she would say, "I am who I am." And she was known to be this strong, tall Black woman with this persona of like this this strong person. And Black women are, we have this we have this thing about us where people say that we're strong and we don't need help and we don't show emotion and all of these things. And we see that this has followed history, right? They even went on, and follow me here, I'm going back and forth of cases with Breonna Taylor. They said that no one was injured, as if being dead is not being injured or anything like that. So I'm going to be going in and out of different cases, so try to follow me because I'm presenting themes here. So Sojourner Truth has this militant idea about her, this militant personality that people frowned upon. And that followed Tamir Rice. She was very resistant. She was calling the police out, doing all these things, and she ended up being murdered in her home. When Black women are militant, it comes off differently. We can see in history, Malcolm X is known for his militant attitude. Martin Luther King was known for his peaceful attitude. But when it comes to women being militant, we are looked at. We're looked down upon. Tamir Rice was called so many names because she wouldn't back down. Some even had the audacity to diagnose her without even being in school to be able to diagnose anyone, right? They said that she had a mental illness. I posed to you guys, and I talked to my mom about this. Like, I always told her, like, if I was to go to PhD school and have to do a dissertation, I think something that interests me is this mental health component of our iconic leaders in the Black community. Martin Luther King has said some really bizarre things where Martin Luther King was not liked, by the way, right? I just want to put that out there. Like, we honor him now, we have a day for him and things of that sort. He was not liked. I just want to put that out there. Malcolm X, he did a lot of bizarre things and crazy things that people would say, does that result of him having a mental illness? These are things that we have to think about. We need to be careful before we place labels on people. Tamir Rice, people said that she was crazy, she was out of her mind, it was mental illness. We have to stop saying that just because someone is sticking up for themselves, especially to Black women. Also, I wanted to talk back about Sojourner Truth. So Sojourner Truth wrote a book about herself, and unfortunately, back then you needed a white person to publish your stuff. So she writes, and she says Sojourner says that she wrote a book, and she worked with a sympathetic white woman named Olivia Gilbert. So we see that Black women has always had to have an ally or someone with them to be pushed. And there's a theme with Black women that we have to be better. We have to dot our I's and we have to cross our T's. We have to be so much to be acknowledged. And I think as a community, we need to really look at that and kind of think before we speak to Black women, or just keep that in mind, right? Keep all these themes in mind that Black women have to go through to get ahead. And we even see that with Sojourner Truth. She couldn't write and she couldn't read, but she had a story and people knew that. So she had to connect with someone else to push this. Just keep this all in mind. Now, Sojourner Truth also spoke at the Women's Rights Convention in 1851, titled "Ain't I a Woman?" Now, I'm not gonna read the speech, it's too long, but I do want to mention what she was talking about, "Ain't I a Woman?" And I want to connect it to today. So what Sojourner Truth was saying is, aren't you my equal? Right? So when when Africans and people from the islands were captured and sent to the States, They were separated. And I think that was very intentional. They know Black women and Black men together are very powerful, right? We are equal. Sojourner Truth, she talks about her statue and how she's strong, and she was in the fields just with the men. The male slaves and female slaves were not separated out on the field. It wasn't like, oh, they do this work and they do that. No, we were out there together. So this ain't I a woman? That's what she's talking about. So my point in saying this is I'm calling action to Black men. Where are you? I know Black men are stepping up, and I know Black men are protecting their Black women, but a majority are not. Where are you? We stand up for you guys all the time. Black Lives Matter was created by 3 Black women. This whole movement was created by 3 Black women for police brutality towards African American males. So my call is, where are you? And to go back to Sojourner, ain't I a woman? This theme is coming again and again. We are reflections of each other, and I think it's hard for Black women to continue this fight without knowing that their Black men are there to support them. There's an absence, and I'm going to take it to this point. And I didn't know if I was going to say this or not, but when we had the protest a couple of weeks ago in Kingston, I didn't see a lot of Black men marching along with us, and we were marching for them. We were marching for police brutality, absolutely. And police brutality doesn't necessarily have a race or anything connected to it. Police brutality is police brutality. We know that police are abusing their power towards white people, towards Koreans, towards African Americans, whatever the case may be. But we know there's a disproportionate number towards African American males. And we were marching for you guys. And I didn't see you. I didn't see you. And I'm just being honest. So this is a call to action. Where are you? You guys need to be present. And I feel very much like I know the people in my life, they love me. I know the men in my life that they will protect me, and that's my circle. But I also see people being dogged out, with their family members, with their friends and family. I briefly had a conversation with a friend today when we went for tacos, and someone was saying like they wouldn't date a Black woman and they were Black. Now, this is a whole different topic, and I will talk about this. This is actually something that I want to put out. Interracial couples and interracial dating and things of that sort. But to hear a Black man say that to another Black woman is crazy to me. Absolutely insane. So we are a reflection of each other. We need to be very careful how we speak to one another. And that's all I'm going to touch on that. And also to go back to the speech, I Ain't a Woman. Sojourner Truth was really explaining this cause and effect relationship between Black men and Black women. We cannot be isolated. We cannot be separated because we come from the Black woman, right? So if you are going to say, I don't mess with Black women, or Black women are this, or Black women are that, you really don't like yourself. And to go back to Malcolm X, one of my favorites, he says, you can't love the tree and hate the roots. You can't you can't like yourself and hate the person you came from, right? So it's just like, let's get into it. Let's get into it, Gloria. Yeah, we have to be very careful. Cardi B, be careful with me. I think she was onto something with that. But, I just really want to hold on. Like, we are a reflection of each other. And if George Floyd gets all this attention, Breonna Taylor should get all this attention, because we are mutual and we need justice for Breonna Taylor. And I would love to see the Black men on my timeline going in, saying her name, really advocating, because Black women are doing this for you. It's just the moral code, right? Like, we need to support each other. And America knows that Black men do not support Black women. It's well known. We can look into statistics. We can look at family dynamics. They know us. We are psychology. They know us, right? So we need to step up to the plate and really prove something different, especially because we're in this movement. Once we understand each other, there's no stopping us. Again, when they brought us here, they separated us for a reason. We are very powerful together. We are very powerful together. And I'm not saying that to say don't date outside your race or don't befriend people that aren't Black or anything like that. What I'm saying is there needs to be a respect between us. I also wanted to just kind of read this excerpt out of this I don't even know what to call it. I'm reading this expert out of In Search of Our Mother's Gardens, and basically this is a piece that talks about our ancestors being so creative but not being able to express it or how they expressed it, and it wasn't even called art at that time. So I'm gonna read it. So it says, Black women are called in a folklore that so amply identifies one status in society, the mule of the world, because we have been handled the burden that everyone else refused to carry. We have been called the matriarchs, the superwoman, and mean and evil B word, not to mention sapphires, mamas. When we have pleaded for understanding, our character has been distorted. When will we ask for simple caring? When have we been handled when have been handed empty inspirational appellations, then stuck in the furthest corner? When we have asked for love? When have we been given children? When when we have asked for love, we have been given children. In short, even in our plainer gifts, our labors of fidelity and love have been knocked down our throats. To be an artist and a Black woman, even today, lowers our status in many respects rather than raise it. And yet artists will be. Artists will be. So what this is basically saying is all of these stereotypes are still here today, right? We can't act a certain way or we'll be labeled. When we ask for love, this is what I would kept repeating because I couldn't get it out because I can't get my words out. But it says here, which is really powerful, when we have asked for love, we have been given children. That's super deep. Like that's a whole different conversation. But it's like, and that can go into so many avenues. I don't want to get into it, but I wanted to repeat it to really for you guys to kind of leave. I wanted to leave you guys with that kind of food for thought. Like this is what Black women go through all the time, and we're still not seen. We're still not seen. So that was that. I think that's all I really wanted to say, and I really wanted to go hard on this reflection with Black men and Black women. I don't know. It's time to make a change. And again, this is just respecting one another. So if you're somewhere out and you see a Black mother with some children and small children and she's carrying groceries or whatever, take the time and show that love and that support and that empathy and help her with the groceries. When you are at a cookout, this is my pet peeve and my friends know this. If I'm at a cookout or if I'm at somewhere and I'm looking for a chair and I need something to be moved, move it, right? Simple things like that to show that that you're here and that you're present because we're present for you all of the time. So that is that. Thank you for joining me. If you guys have any questions, comment. I see you guys are commenting. Thank you for interacting. I don't know what else to say. I just felt like we needed to say, I titled it Say Her Name because Breonna Taylor is not getting the same energy that George Floyd has gotten. And I think that's problematic. And I'm not blaming any other race. I'm talking to the African American community right now. We need to stand up for Breonna Taylor. We need to say her name and we need to say it loud and proud because she deserves justice. This woman was shot in her bed 8 times and they were looking for people that were already in custody. That's a no-brainer. That's a no-brainer. And when people don't, and people that are trying to justify things, I'm questioning your psyche at this point. Like, what's good with you? That's what's good with you. How don't you understand what I'm saying? And there's just so many other Black leaders, Black women leaders in this movement that we don't know about. And I'll be shedding light on my page, Raw Talk. So if you haven't liked the page, please like it. It's titled Raw Talk. You can find it at Raw Talk 95. It should pop up. And I'll be just sharing. I'm going to be dedicating the next couple of days to Black women in our history because Martin Luther King was taught, Malcolm X was taught briefly, but there were so many powerhouses. And I'm kind of into gender roles. I'm just gonna put that out there. This is my channel, right? I'm kind of into gender roles. I like knowing like this is something like, okay, I should be doing this, you should be doing that. Like I think it works. So I don't understand why men was only highlighted in the civil rights movement. A lot of like what I was at least taught in history class was about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, and I learned that Rosa Parks sat down, she didn't get up, like these passive acts. And Black women were not just passive; we were very present. And the saying behind every strong Black male is a Black woman. I believe that's really true. However, just because they may be behind them doesn't mean that their work is not sufficient. Um, so just keep that in mind. Black men, we see you, we hear you, we just want to be heard as well. Hey DJ, I see that you're on here. Thank you guys for all tuning in. I love you all. And please subscribe to my channel and my Facebook page. It's slowly but surely coming together. I think I have more followers on my regular Facebook page, but you guys need to transfer to Raw Talk. Yeah, 93 days, Pili. Yeah, 93 days and no real action has been taken for Breonna Taylor. It's absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy. Hey, Jans. History is seriously whitewashed. Just sad. Half of our was it's very westernized. Absolutely. And I think that conversation needs to be brought up. We've talked about it a little bit, but the history that I was taught at Kingston High School, not it. Not it. I was inspired going to college. I'm so happy I went to college because that's when I really tapped into my identity. We can't expect our children to have identity if they're not being taught their history. It doesn't matter if it's coming from home or the educational system at this point, but someone needs to teach them the correct history. Someone has to do it. We have to dismantle everything. And it's going to take time. But I believe that we're in a divine season, and this is very spiritual, what we're going through, because George Floyd was a catalyst to this movement, but there's been so many Black men that has died that did not get the same energy. So I believe this is very divine, and I believe this is very spiritual, and we can't miss it. We cannot miss it. So keep talking, keep sharing the news, keep reading articles, keep educating yourself. Yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. Thank you so much. I wanted to keep it short, and follow my page, Raw Talk. Bye.